I'm not gonna lie, this actually might be one of my favorite desktop environment updates specifically that kind of just puts everything together so unified and it makes a desktop so perfect. That's why like the thumbnail says it's perfect. And well, in today's video, it's going to be about Plasma 6.1 beta and just how I've been using it for the past couple of days, some of the new features that they have introduced under the hood and some of the features that they've improved on and with like the UI and just my experience when using it for the past like couple of days. Like how has it been, what bugs have I faced, etc. and why I think it's probably one of the most perfect desktop environments for, I guess, for a Linux user that wants to use a desktop environment. So I'm just going to start off with the bugs that I have faced in Plasma 6.1 beta, and the only one I've faced really is settings, which can crash if you spam it enough. If you just spam around the menus enough, it can trigger a crash. That's the only crash that I've had on Plasma 6.1 so far in the past like 2 days that I've been using it, which I have been using like a lot. Like I've been playing games on it, I have been watching content on my browser, downloading different applications, opening different applications, editing different desktop file configs and stuff like that, and it's been really good, I would say, when it comes to that. So there hasn't been like any major bugs in this, which is really good to see, because like versus Plasma 6, there was a couple of bugs that have had to be ironed out, which have been almost ironed out, I think, with 6.0.5. But in 6.1, with the beta, I've only faced one crash, which is with settings. So I guess we'll start off with some of the little things that you may have noticed if you are running Plasma 6.1 beta, and if you were running Plasma 6, you would have noticed that like when you try to add wallpapers in your settings, so the new wallpapers that got added in settings, if you try to add multiple wallpapers, you can't actually do that. You can only select one wallpaper at a time. So now you should be able to select like literally like every single wallpaper, and you can just add all of them. When before you couldn't do that, and it was kind of annoying. You had to like add wallpapers like manually, like each at a time. But now you can just like add them all, as many as you want in one go, and then they'll all be added. One of the other little things is if we go to our application permissions, they have added a legacy X11 app support for additional include mouse buttons. So if you're running a application that's running under X Wayland, let's say Discord for example, and you want to add, let's say, a mute button on your mouse, you can actually do that now. So if you are running it through X Wayland and you want to add a, like for me, I mute on my mouse button, on my side of my mouse button. So now I can just add that easily through Discord and it will mute me. Now I guess we could go into some of the big things that they have changed. So there is a new edit mode. So if we go right click and we go show panel configuration, whoa. So now it zooms out, crazy, right? And I guess they've changed a couple things. So like the panel settings used to be in the middle, now it's moved to the side. And there is the top panel at the top here, which has kind of been unified as before. There used to be like two options. There used to be like a panel above and like a panel like below, and it was really confusing because you would like exit the edit mode and then you wouldn't actually exit the edit mode fully. You would have to like tap the escape button like twice to like fully exit the mode. But now it's really like unified, so it actually works properly when you actually want to exit the edit mode, because there's an exit mode here, and if we just click that, boom, it exits the mode. That's simple. But like, if we go back into it, if you don't know, this is from the redesign of Plasma 6, where we can change like the position. So if you do here, boom, we move that. You can move it up top, whatever, wherever you want. You can change the like the alignment, the width, the visibility, the opacity, and the styling. So if you don't want it floating, there you go. It's not going to float anymore. But I do like it floating, and of course you can change the panel height also. But yeah, like everything's really unified now, and it makes a cool animation when you want to edit it. Yeah, it's just really nice. Some other little things like you know, if you click restart for example, it doesn't have a confirm button anymore. Now it's just, you just click restart now or cancel. So those are your options. So if you were to like before on Plasma 6 or before, it would include those options down below where you would have to confirm it. But now what you can do is just click restart, which makes a lot more sense, because there's no point in having two options. There should just be one option that you should click, either restart, not restart, and confirm. You can click either one. Now it's just restart and then cancel, obviously. I guess one of the other neat things is that now when you search in your application launcher, all your apps are categorized. So you can see here, you got your applications that get categorized and your system settings that get categorized. So it looks really nice now, and it's so much more easier to just search something. It's not as confusing, and it has a nice font. It's very bold as well, which I do like. I do like bold, thick fonts. So it does look very nice, and it just categorizes everything nicely in the application launcher now. If we go into display and monitor, you can enable HDR now, like you can in Plasma 6. What am I saying? But with this one, you can lower the SDR brightness a lot lower now. So you can lower it to, I think it was like 50 nits. I'm pretty sure it's the lowest. I don't know if that's the same on Plasma 6, but I did hear that they were going to lower it to a lower amount, which I'm pretty sure was 50 nits. As before, I'm pretty sure it was higher, but you can lower it to 50. And then I'm pretty sure 400 is a bit higher also. So when it comes to HDR with SDR brightness, you can lower it and make it higher so that, like, you know, your monitor can be lower brightness in dark environments. If you live in your room in the dark, I guess, you know, or like under a rock or something like that, you can have lower brightness so your eyes don't bleed from the HDR content, I guess, with SDR stuff. And one of the other cool things that they've added is the remote desktop. So kind of similar to what GNOME did with 46, where you can now set up a remote desktop in your settings easily. You can add a user, you can enable an RDP server, and it just makes it super easy for you to, you know, get someone to log into your desktop remotely, either it be you or someone else to help you with certain things, I guess, or like, you know, like with like support stuff. But just be wary, you know, like scammers and stuff like that. They like to use this type of stuff to log into your desktop and try and steal information. So, but it's really good that this is now available. Now, when it comes to power options, there's supposed to be some new custom power options that you can use. But from my understanding, I can't remember what they look like from Plasma 6. So what I'll do is I'll show up a screenshot of the power options on Plasma 6, and we'll see if there's a difference. But there should be some new custom power options that should improve how you want to like design or whatever on your power management on whatever, like a laptop or a desktop, whatever that may be. Now, if you haven't noticed, with the whole desktop environment, everything has a rounded corner around it now, except the windows. Only like the top half has like rounded, but everything else when it comes to the UI has very nice rounded corners now. And before, it was still like a mixture. There was some rounded corners and then sometimes there weren't rounded corners. So the majority of apps now all have lovely rounded corners when you go and look at specific things in your settings. Well, if it's any Qt based applications that are on like Qt6 or whatever, they should have like rounded corners from my understanding. But as you can see, like everything has nice rounded corners now. It all looks very just unified and perfect, I would say, when it comes to this desktop environment specifically. Now, if we do look at some of the other important things that have happened under the hood, which is like triple buffering for Kwin. So now, when you are creating frames on your desktop environment, sometimes like older laptops, they can't keep up with what's happening on Plasma because, well, they're old hardware and Plasma is like rather new. It's using newer things like Vulkan and stuff. So it's like harder for that hardware to keep up. So triple buffering does solve that problem a little, where the hardware can create like extra like buffers basically, so that it doesn't like stutter. And I can see this when I installed Plasma 6.1 on my 2015 laptop, which only has an i3 5005U, I think, and it's only like a 2-core processor or 4-core processor, and it did have issues on Plasma 6 where just like scrolling through like your browser, for example, it would struggle to do that. It would stutter because it couldn't keep up with what was happening on the browser. But now with triple buffering, everything is really nice and smooth when it comes to animations, things that are like rendering on the screen, really smooth now. So if you'll even notice this with like higher end hardware as well, everything just feels like really smooth now. And I guess it's because of some of the other things that I'll mention, which just like improve the desktop experience everyone has with under Wayland specifically. Like as it says here, dynamic triple buffering is to dynamically enable when the previous frame is running behind schedules. Like I said before, when you're like browsing something on like a browser on like some old hardware, it usually what it does is it stutters and it takes longer for it to catch up on those frames that are happening. But with triple buffering, that stuff gets solved, which is really good to see. And one of the other big things that have been supported in the Plasma desktop is explicit sync. So I'm running Mesa 24.1 also, so I am using explicit sync on my AMD hardware. When before, AMD used a particular hack for transferring or like translating implicit sync to explicit sync, which is the older way of how apps software interact with hardware and the compositor. But now it's all explicit sync, so everything feels really good. Also, on top of that, when you add that with triple buffering, and then you also add screen tearing, that has also been added to Plasma 6.1. So if you are running Wayland and you've always been like, oh, VSync is too much, my hardware can't handle it, or or whatever, screen tearing does work now in full screen games. If you are using kernel 6.8 or above, that has the atomic API Bing feature that they added in the kernel, which allows you to screen tear. And then with Plasma 6.1, you should be able to screen tear properly. As before, you had to use a environment variable to enable the old legacy API, but now you should be able to use screen tearing, and it does seem to work, I think. Everything just feels so smooth when playing and really responsive, I would say. So like, I mean, I'm using VRR as well, so like it may not work properly. I'm pretty sure if I go over my VRR, it should screen tear, but I haven't noticed it. And I mean, even on Windows, I didn't notice screen tearing, to be honest. I just so focused on the game that I don't notice the screen tearing really. And one of the other things is the fake session restore on Wayland that at least reopens apps that were open last time, even if they don't get positioned in the same place. So when you go to your settings, and I'm pretty sure you go to the auto start or maybe the session, yeah, you go to desktop session and you go to logout screen, session restore. On login, launch apps that were open on last logout. So I have that enabled. So when I restart my computer, it should reopen the applications that I have, which isn't the proper version yet. They're still working on the final version of the Wayland session restore protocol on Wayland, but for now they're going to use this like, I guess you could say, cheaper version, even though it does like the exact same thing. I'm guessing just the newer protocol is going to open your applications just a little bit more easier when it comes to the restore, and it may like save a position of where the apps were, as it says here. With the other one, it doesn't save the position, so your apps will just spawn wherever they want to spawn. But with the newer one, I'm pretty sure that's probably what it's going to do. It's going to properly actually like restore the applications on your monitors where you last saved them. And there's some other things like, you know, syncing color on your keyboard's RGB backlight with the plasma accent color. So if you have a laptop that has backlight on the keycaps, you can sync the color off through the accent color now. I mean, this doesn't work on like desktop keyboards, I think, because I haven't noticed it because I have my own effect on my keyboard. But if you do have a keyboard RGB backlight, it should be able to like sync to it. And I'm pretty sure you can change the brightness now also in the Plasma settings, but I think that was already in Plasma 6. So, but if you do notice that is something new, you can change the brightness on your keyboard light, and then you can also change it to sync with the Plasma accent color for whatever accent color you want on your desktop, either it be syncing to your wallpaper or to your own color. And one of the other things I did forget to mention is that you can use different color profiles. As before, there was only ICC profiles, but now what you can do is use the built-in color profile of your monitor. It says, if you do here, it says, note that built-in color profiles are sometimes wrong and often inaccurate. For optimal color fidelity calibration, use a color emitter is recommended. So yeah, if you want to have really accurate colors, it's best to get a color eye meter or color meter to measure the color properly, so you can get a proper like ICC profile. But what you can do now is when before on Plasma 6 there used to be only a ICC profile, but now what you can do is select your built-in color profile, and it should choose the right color for your monitor that it has. And yeah, that just means just more accurate colors when it comes to showing things like, you know, looking at wallpapers, looking at your games, your videos, whatever that may be. There is some other little things with like Discover, for example, if you use Flatpak. So if you have an application that you're using and it shows up now, it should show up now that where an application may be at the end of its support, so that it's not getting updated anymore, and it'll be flagged as like not getting updated. Discover will now like show that and try and replace it with something else. Either it be the same package, but it's uploaded by someone else, it's being maintained by someone else, or just like a different application that you could choose as like an alternative. I'm guessing that would be one way of showing it, but it says here that like support for Discover for replacing end of support Flatpak apps with their replacement. So yeah, if there was like a replacement that was similar to it, or the exact same application but it's maintained by someone else, then it's going to show that, and you should be able to just like replace it easily. They also did add some battery conserve mode features on many Lenovo ID Pad and Legion laptops. So if you do have those laptops, Plasma 6.1 does have some battery conserve modes for you now, so you should be able to get better battery life on your laptops, which is pretty damn cool, I might say. One of the other ones is with screen locking. So now what you can do is you can delay the password that is required up to like 5 seconds. For me, I don't use screen locking, but if I do like a minute here, I can do lock after waking from sleep, and then I can delay before password required by like certain seconds, or I can do it require password immediately, or not even require a password. So you can really customize the screen locking now to whatever you want. I don't use screen locking, but if you do, there is these options available for you. The other thing that you can do now is if you go and click this arrow to bring up this like I guess you could say quick settings, I guess you can middle click the power management now, and it's going to sleep and screen locking disabled, which means that automatic sleep and screen locking are disabled. Middle click to re-enable. So if you middle click it, then it's going to be unblocked. So then those options that you had in your settings should then actually work when it comes to screen locking or sleeping. But yeah, if you don't want screen locking or sleeping, you can just easily middle click and it will lock it basically, and you won't be able to sleep the computer or lock it. Now, one of the other things that I did see when I installed Plasma 6.1 was that it enabled the shake cursor function by default. I don't know why they enabled this really. I guess maybe for particular people that have bad eyesight or something. I don't really know what shake cursor is like really used for, so I'm not really gonna like say specifically what I think because like I don't know what it's used for really. But it was enabled by default, and it was confusing me because I was shaking my cursor and I thought it was a bug, but it wasn't. It was inaccessibility. It's called shake cursor, and it's enabled by default. So if you do have this thing where you shake your cursor, I'll just enable it really quickly. You shake your cursor, as you can see, your cursor gets really big. Yeah, you can disable this in here if you do have this problem, and yeah, that should solve that issue. I don't know why they enabled it by default, to really be honest. I think some people that may install Plasma 6.1 when it comes out, they might be a bit confused of what the hell is happening to their cursor when they shake it really fast, and they won't know that it's shake cursor and inaccessibility. But that is just one thing. So if you have that problem and you don't know where it is, that's where it is to disable it. I guess there's another little thing is that there is a new off by default effect to hide the mouse pointer after a period of inactivity. So yeah, if you're just like not using the mouse cursor, it should just hide properly by default. That's really cool to see. And then also one of the other things that I've noticed is that when you move your mouse cursor across your windows now, and I don't know if you noticed this, but my mouse cursor, I'm slamming my mouse cursor to my second monitor on the left side, and my mouse cursor is hitting the wall, similar to how Windows works, where when you move your mouse cursor to the side of the monitor, it hits it, and it's like you have to push a lot more force to move it onto the other monitor. So now that's enabled. They decided to bring that to Plasma as before. It was really easy to just move your cursor across your monitors, which did feel nice, but I guess there was some people that were complaining and wanted this feature to be enabled so that they don't accidentally move their cursor across their screen, which is fine. It does work really well, and then like you move down to the edge here, you can see that it's really hard to like push it across to the other side of the monitor, but that's really cool to see. It's really awesome. And like I said before, you can get screen tearing. So if you do have kernel 6.8 with the new Atomic API that has supported the screen tearing feature, and you're running Plasma 6.1, you should be able to get screen tearing properly now. Plus with like VRR fixes that have happened. So like one issue that was happening with VRR is really big like strobing or like flicker at low FPS, which did get fixed a little bit in Plasma 6, but now it's actually really fixed in Plasma 6.1 because of some issue that was interfering with the VRR. So now if you are using VRR that at low frame rates, that flicker shouldn't really be there anymore. It should be a lot better and a lot easier to like not see that type of stuff. Plus with like Atomic API now with screen tearing, it should just be really good when it comes to using those features. So if you want to install Plasma 6.1, how would you go about this if you want to get the beta? Well, you would I'm going to do this on Arch, for example. I'm not going to do it on other distros because I don't have them installed, but you should be able to find a way to install 6.1 beta on like Fedora, maybe using like Fedora Rawhide, which I wouldn't really recommend because that's the latest of the latest and it's made for developers specifically. It's even more bleeding edge than Arch really. But on Arch, what we want to do here is open up our terminal, do sudo nano /etc/pacman.conf, enter your password, and then we want to scroll down here. We want to enable the KDE-UNSTABLE and the extra testing repo. So KDE-UNSTABLE, I put it above extra testing just so it doesn't interfere with extra testing, and so when applications do go into extra testing, we can just remove or we can just hash out the KDE-UNSTABLE option here, so then we don't get updates from it, and then extra testing can just overwrite those packages to the newer package version, because if we had it under, then I guess guess we might have like issues. So that's the way I would go about it. Someone else might comment down below and say the other way around, where the other way is better, but I think this is the better way of doing it. Just so like, 6.1 packages on KDE-UNSTABLE just stays there, and then if you check the Arch repos, packages are there and extra testing, then you can just, like I said, just hash out the KDE-UNSTABLE, and that will be it. So I'll leave these down below where you can copy them, and I'll also link the Arch repository place where you can learn what these repos are and other repos that you may want to enable. I enabled extra testing because I wanted Mesa 24.1 so that I can get things like explicit sync working properly. And that also means with explicit sync, I forgot to mention that explicit sync will get Nvidia cards working properly. So if you do have an Nvidia card and you've been always like, oh, Wayland doesn't work for me, it has issues, well, you can use with the 555 driver, proprietary driver, the beta 555 driver, or the 560 driver next month, you should be able to use explicit sync on Plasma 6.1, or like a modified version of Plasma 6. I wouldn't really recommend that, but with Plasma 6.1, it will have the explicit sync support. You use that driver, and then you should be able to use Wayland. There might be like, you might not be able to use VRR because that's like an issue with Nvidia's side where they have to support that. So you won't be able to use VRR, I don't think, but you should be able to use Wayland now, like fully, without major problems. I guess the only other issue that I had was like Flatpak applications didn't have the 555 driver, so the applications were black when I launched them. Or Steam. Steam was glitching out because of hardware acceleration. That's another Nvidia problem, which doesn't happen on AMD. I can use hardware acceleration on Steam and there is no issues. But that does it. I guess the last one is gaming on Plasma 6.1. How has that been? Well, I've been playing games like for the past couple of days. I've been playing Finals. I've been playing Halo Infinite. What other games I've been playing? I'm playing like the first Ascendant. I was playing that. They had the last final playtest and I played that and it ran really well. Played a bit of Counter-Strike 2 also, just to do some testing. I also did play a lot of Overwatch 2 in ranked, and all my games, they worked extremely well with triple buffering, VRR, screen tearing, bloody all these new features under the hood. The gaming experience is just like, it's so good now when it comes to if you're running an AMD card or even an Nvidia card. You should have a really good time under Plasma 6.1 on Wayland specifically, and yeah, like that's really been my experience using Plasma 6.1 and the new features and the problems that I've had. Like I said, I've only had one settings crash, which is just kind of wild that it's gotten like this good this quickly with when coming with Plasma 6 came out like 3 months ago, I think it was, and now to 6.1 and it's already like really good. It's just like a refinement, it's just a perfect desktop environment, I would say, at this point, where you could run it on any hardware and it should run like really well, and you shouldn't have any like major problems with 6.1. Maybe you'll have problems with Plasma 6, but with 6.1, I know that when Plasma 6.1 comes out, there will be bugs that do appear out of different use cases. But for me specifically, when using it for the past couple of days, I have had like almost no problems. It has been perfect, and that's why I say it's like the perfect desktop environment. If you're a new user coming over from Windows, I would say this is just like the best desktop you probably could use when it comes to closest to like alternative to the Windows desktop. It's just really refined now, I would say, searching things, playing games, all that stuff. So if you guys did enjoy this video, I would definitely give it a like and subscribe. Thank you to my supporters also, and most importantly, seriously, if you do have money, you should be donating to Plasma or any Linux project that is out, because they do do this in their free time and they barely earn much money out of it. Like Plasma, they only earn around $200,000 last year, I think it was. That is nothing when it comes to a business that they're trying to run here, which people say like, oh, it's not really a business, but it is a non-profit. So they are trying to earn money, just not through like investors or anything. They're just trying to earn it through donations. So definitely I'll leave a link down below for donating to the KDE project. I've donated before. You definitely can become a member on there as well. It's like $100 you can do, so like yearly or monthly or whatever you want, really. Like I said, or a single donation like I've done for the past couple of months, because I don't earn that much money, so like I can't do the whole member thing yet, but I will do probably really soon when I do start to earn a lot more money. But yeah, like I would definitely go donate to these channels. And yeah, if you do, like I said before, if you did did enjoy this video, definitely give it a like. You definitely can subscribe to the channel. We are like, I think almost at 4.2k subscribers, which is just awesome. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.